This is dumb. This is dumb, and we know it's dumb. This is the same crap that we hate ourselves for bringing up, such as the 2.0 conversations. And I'm sad that, you are trying to take the FTW podcast down into the realms of the general IWC negativity. So,
Wow, Harrison. Not only is that a bad question, you're destroying the podcast.
Oh, yeah! Welcome to another edition of the FTW podcast, the wrestling world in all its laughable glory. This is episode number 151, recorded live on February 12, 2013 on FTWlive.com. Tonight we're going to discuss the lack of Taker at Raw, and how does he fit into the senior spring of WWE leading into WrestleMania, the lead up to Elimination Chamber this Sunday, and the difference in TNA before and after their Impact Wrestling rebrand. All this and much, much more on the week that was in both WWE and TNA. I am Harrison, and with us tonight is Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Holy shit, it's time to talk some wrestling.
Rob, say hello, Rob.
Hey.
And Garvin, say hello, Garvin.
Hey, Garvin.
If you're listening through iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, FTWpodcast.com, or through your favorite podcast player, make sure to check out FTWpodcast.com for more about us and how to get involved in this and upcoming discussions. You can find out about us on Twitter, Google+, and Facebook. All those links and much, much more are listed at FTWpodcast.com. For all you live chat hooligans listening tonight here at FTWlive.com, let's hear ya! This episode has been brought to you by The Official. I'm an FTW podcast guy, T. They've been called renegades, rebels, and scientists who change the way the world sees pro wrestling today, and you can be one too, because regardless of what you call them, you should show the world what they should call you, an FTW podcast guy and girl. You can get it now in sizes including 3XL and really 4XL? Has anybody ordered a 4XL?
No, but it's there for the fatties.
Oh God, that's so sad. And yes, ladies, I'm an FTW podcast girl tee as well. You can grab them for $15 over at FTWpodcast.com/shirts. And speaking of sponsorships, doing this show every week kind of costs us a little money. You got hosting fees and all that kind of stuff. Rob's per diem. Specifically, Joe and Garvin. Why not sponsor an upcoming episode and help us pay for hosting and everything else that we do here in FTW by going to FTWpodcast.com/sponsor and sponsor a future episode today. Whether you're a blogger, another podcast, an indie wrestling promotion, or just, someone with deep pockets who wants to help us out, basically, drop us a line and we'll talk. You can help us and we'll help you by getting your name, product, or event out there in front of the millions and millions of FTW podcast guys and gals. And now onto the week that was in WWE and TNA.
Whoa. You take the pause like you're going to really give it the rock all. And you're just like, flat?
I'm not flat. I was waiting for the crowd to get into it. You guys didn't say a damn thing.
In front of the millions and millions of FTW.
No, I'm supposed to say in front of the millions, and then the crowd replies with,
"You're no Kevin."
Yeah, well, you're not The Rock, and we're not the crowd.
You're no Kevin.
Yeah, you're no Kevin.
Wait, you just killed the momentum of the show early on. We got another hour and a half for this to go through. And you guys are like,
yeah, but if you would have started...
for my part, I was trying to figure out what my rate is here.
You know what?
I was unaware I had a per diem.
You guys should just sit there and pout harder.
Hey, man, if you would have given it a little oomph and said, the millions!
Fine. You want it? Fine.
Help
us! Help us! We'll help you by getting your name, product, event out there in front of the millions!
And millions.
And millions of the FTW podcast guys and gals. Now, on to the week now that I've peeked out and destroyed Garvin's mixer, we're going to move on to the week that was in WWE and TNA. Let's just start off right off the bat with WWE because we got, a relatively interesting pay-per-view coming up on Sunday. But the first thing I want to talk about, for me, is the return of a few people. Well, specifically the return of Mark Henry. This has kind of been teased a little bit on the outside, kind of dropped off the radar for a bit, and then boom! Here he is on SmackDown. How do you guys feeling about Mark Henry's return?
Mark Henry is awesome. I am so glad that Big Mark is back on the screen, busting heads, talking smack, jumping right back to, Mark Henry where he was when he started getting a push last time around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
What about you, Rob? You excited?
Yeah, Mark Henry had a great run. Was good to see him back. Hopefully he's able to pick up where he kind of left off.
Awesome. Garv, what do you think?
I am very pleased that Mark Henry is back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rob just blew my head up. I don't know what happened. You peaked hard. It was like, BAM!
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, come on. I mean, yeah, Joey, you said it the best. He's picking up right where he left off. And really, it kind of makes you wonder, the only thing that's holding him up is he's another year older? When did he leave? About 10, 11 months ago. So you got to wonder, how much does he still have left in the tank? And how far can he go with this? Because he does look just as strong, just as powerful. And
He looks even more fit.
Capable.
He looks like he drops more LBs. He's looking really good.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's hard to judge him based on just a couple of matches. Well, 1.5 matches, really. I mean, you can't.
If you get a side profile of him, I mean, he lost a hemisphere, man. He's trimming up.
He lost a couple of continents.
Hey, man. I mean, after that incident on SmackDown where they went to interview him about his weight and he started crying.
Yeah.
Talking about how he had lost weight. Man, dude's looking even better than what he did then.
Yeah. So where do you see him going from here? I mean, he's going to the Elimination Chamber match. He's got some decent momentum coming out of this.
I would love to see him win it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he was extremely strong. Was it last year's Elimination Chamber or was it the year before?
I'll say the year before.
Because it was like him, Daniel Bryan, and somebody else, and he was just destroying.
Well, no.
Yeah, I think he did do kind of well at either last year's or the year before that.
I mean, he was pulling Daniel Bryan while he was in the pod.
I think that was last year. Okay, well, regardless. Okay, we're going into this year, though. I mean, you kind of lay it out there. Mark Henry possibly winning the Elimination Chamber. Also in that match is, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, and Kane, 3 mainstays, but also the return of Jack Swagger and the return of Chris Jericho. So now you got half of the people that are in this Elimination Chamber event weren't here a month ago. So they're hoping to ride a lot of like new heat or basically returning heat on these guys. And so knowing that you're still picking Mark Henry as the strongest out of all these 6 people.
He's going to be the strongest guy. I think he's got a definite shot at it. Jericho's another big one.
I don't think Swagger's going to do much.
Swagger will do a good showing, but I don't think he's gonna end up taking a pin.
Okay.
He'll be impressive though.
You think he'll be? Yeah, he's been looking pretty good in his return. As far as with him and well, what I like to imagine Garvin's going to look like in about 15 years.
What, as far as size goes, or?
No, just facial hair. I think he's going to grow tired of the beard, just shave all that, and then just keep the mustache going.
Could be.
That's what I think. All right, Rob, if you had to pick, going into Elimination Chamber, we're going to talk about it more in our pre-show this Saturday, but, we got 3 returning, 3 mainstays. You picking, are you sticking with Mark Henry, or are you seeing someone like Jericho, or maybe even, Jack Swagger, probably a non-issue, right?
Yeah, Jack Swagger's definitely not a contender. I think it'll come down to either Mark Henry or Chris Jericho to win.
Okay. Garv, what do you think?
Well, just looking briefly at this, I think the one name that will probably be one of the bigger surprises of the match is Randy Orton. Because none of us are considering him, Daniel Bryan and Kane. I think what they're leading to is more tension between the two. But I can't see either one of them not continuing in the tag team division going into WrestleMania. You know, because we're going to basically have 2 pay-per-views in a row without them as tag team champions. That seems kind of odd. But yeah, I would look at either Mark Henry or I wouldn't sell Jack Swagger short. I think Jack Swagger will probably be the last one eliminated. I think he'll last that long.
Okay.
But, you know, I think, but just like going at it with Dolph has to cash in at some point, and who is the better cash in candidate other than ADR, and that's probably either Jack Swagger or Chris Jericho. But I can't see them putting the title on Jericho.
Now, are you saying that because you think he's going to be gone soon, or are you saying that because you think? I mean, why would you say that that they're not going to throw it on Jericho?
To me, Jericho would be a better long-term champion. You know, at least a couple months. We don't have a couple of months. You know, you put the title on Jericho at WrestleMania possibly, and then the cash-in, it just seems a bad way to use Jericho. Not that, you know, they have a good track record of using Jericho.
Unless you're going to push a storyline where, you know, it's Jericho and Dolph, and they're going to take that from WrestleMania forward.
See, that's a possibility. The reason I want to bring this up is because we asked this question on both Facebook and our Google Plus page. By the way, our Google Plus page up to like 40,000 fans or something. It's insane. Anyway, whatever the number is. I think it's like 2,500.
2,500, yeah.
Did we cross 3,000?
No,
okay, yeah.
not yet.
Okay, so...
Hey, wait, okay. Is that our Google Plus page or is that the Google Plus community?
The community.
Community.
Yeah, big difference.
Yes.
Well, Garvin
if you're part of the community, you should follow the FTW podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we asked this question on both of those, and the thing I find surprising about it is that most of the people who were talking about it were basically discussing either Daniel Bryan, Kane, possibly Randy Orton, but only really a handful, like a very small number, were actually considering Mark Henry. And
I think Daniel Bryan's a bigger shot out of that group than either Kane or Orton.
Oh yeah, hands down. I mean, well, Orton, to me, if they did that, it would be more indicative of kind of, well, a complaint I had about Raw on Monday. And it's a small one, I will admit that, but it'd be similar to what they would do with Orton if they made him do that.
So what was your complaint?
Okay, well, basically, my complaint with Raw was, if you looked at the hour marks, the first hour, we saw the Gang of Three come out in Ryback, Sheamus, and Cena. Then at hour 2, we saw them come back out. And then hour 3 was The Rock. So it's like one of those things where, you know, WWE, I mean, I hate getting into this ratings discussion, but I'll do it now because Lee's not on, so it's a lot more fun. But it seems like they're kind of getting spooked, and so they're running home. And this is the 3 that they're kind of hitting on. So if Orton wins the Elimination Chamber, I feel it's kind of the same thing, you know, where it's basically, instead of banking on someone who has potential to be huge, like Mark Henry, or someone who is very hot right now but isn't a main eventer, like Daniel Bryan, they would go to Orton because that's the safe bet. Yeah,
and I think Orton's boring in his current role.
Yeah.
He's dry. It's just not impressive. He's cookie cutter, earning a paycheck, and he's punching the clock. That's it. So
he's basically a hamburger without any condiments. He's bread and meat is all he is.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's nothing to excite
you. And steroids.
And lots of steroids. And lots of tanning cream. But I just thought it was interesting that everybody that was talking about it, that's who they were guessing. Is they were saying it was either going to be Daniel Bryan. A couple people said Kane, which I don't know. I still say if it's got to be between Kane and Daniel Bryan, it's going to be them. But anyway, we're going to talk about this more this Saturday on our preview show, which should be awesome. You should definitely tune in for that. But as far as Raw goes, the one match we should discuss on Raw is Jericho versus Daniel Bryan. And this was Jericho's first real match since his return, correct? I was out last week, so I didn't get a chance to watch any wrestling, right? You didn't wrestle last week?
I'm not sure.
I'll have to go back in the,
it is 14 hours of wrestling that we gotta go back on.
No, Jericho has competed since then. This is his first win since his return.
Okay. Well, anyway, the match as a whole.
Yeah. Last week was him versus Punk.
Yeah, he lost in the Rumble, of course. He lost against Team Hell No. I can't remember who his partner was. And then he lost with CM Punk, or against CM Punk. last week. So this was his first week with a win.
Okay, well, Joe, how do you feel about the match as a whole?
Match on the whole is pretty good. Jericho versus Daniel Bryan I think, was very solid. Both guys, I mean, they went back and forth quite a bit. We really got to see Daniel Bryan shine against a true vet like Jericho, and Jericho's in really good shape right now. So he's got the energy, and I think they turned it on pretty well.
Okay. I want to disagree with you on this because I wasn't a big fan of Jericho when he came back, mostly because we kept predicting what we think would be awesome what he did, and he didn't do any of that. In fact, he did the opposite of it. So the fact that he finally got a win in general this past year and a half is pretty awesome. But the match itself, yeah. And I really got I think it shows a lot of maybe maturity on Daniel Bryan's part in the ring, because really, we always say that Jericho can make anybody look good, but I gotta say, I think it was Daniel Bryan that just looked good. I don't think it was really Jericho helping him all that much. I think it was Daniel Bryan showing that he can stand on his own 2 feet against a legendary main eventer like Chris Jericho.
And one thing to clear up, just to jump back slightly, I was incorrect. Mark Henry actually hasn't been in an Elimination Chamber match. I was confusing him with Big Show.
Oh, well, look at that. We're gonna pop. He's gonna have his cherry pop this Sunday. So you think? So then, okay, knowing that, would you still pick him to win it, given that this is his first one?
He's just destroying right now. It's quite a possibility.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm still with you on that one.
D-Bry's already got a win in that column, so for Elimination Chamber, he won last year.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Okay, so where were we? We were on Jericho versus Daniel Bryan. Yes. Garvin, Rob, you got an opinion on this one?
You guys pretty much covered everything that I would have said. I don't know if Garvin's got an opinion.
Yeah.
Okay,
the only thing I wanted to add was I was dazzled, for sure, and I think overall, I don't think what you're saying, Harrison, is like a shot in the dark at all. I think that's something we all agree on, that, Daniel Bryan can carry his own. He's been able to carry his own for a while. So this isn't a new thing for him. He carries just about every match that he's in, outside of Punk, which is, 50-50 it seems. But yeah, I think Daniel Bryan has come into his own. I think, his match with Jericho this week, basically illustrated that. So yeah, it was a great match.
Okay, so then one thing I want to add, because I want to discuss some of the news topics we have here. One thing I want to discuss real quick regarding Daniel Bryan is how many more times are we going to have this discussion before WWE finally decides to throw some real meat at him? I mean, you can argue this tag team thing he's got going with Kane's been pretty interesting, but as far as a singles wrestler, as far as WWE hanging something on him, how many more times do you think we're going to have this discussion before that happens? I mean, do you think we're looking at WrestleMania, past WrestleMania? Do you think we're looking at SummerSlam? Do we think we're looking at this year, possibly him main eventing a pay-per-view? Without a name like Cena, Orton, or Punk involved? Well, let's give him Punk, but Cena or Orton? Joe, Garvin?
Yeah,
Not this year.
Yeah, I don't necessarily
Rob's saying not this year.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see it either. I mean, the thing is that you can only push so many people, and unfortunately, for whatever reason, Bryan has slipped through the cracks, and I don't know why. He's definitely over in every sense of the word, but when it's obvious that the company is depending on guys like Cena and like The Rock, where would the opportunity be? And I can't come up with a scenario that would work, that wouldn't hurt someone else who is also vying for that same position, like a Dolph Ziggler. Even throw Ryback in there, throw Mark Henry in there. If Daniel Bryan's getting that push, who's going to get sacrificed for it? It's not going to be Cena. It's not going to be Sheamus or any of the other big faces right now.
See, that's the problem. That's another problem I have with this kind of argument when people throw that out there, is the idea that it's mutually exclusive, that in order for one to win, someone else has to lose. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, I know we have a finite amount of TV time and amount of time at pay-per-views and such, but the idea that Daniel Bryan headlining one pay-per-view, I don't think it's the end of the world. ADR did it, okay? He headlined Money in the Bank last year. Yeah, 2012. He headlined Money in the Bank. He was on all the posters, everything about it.
But
no one was
putting
really
something
hurt
on a
because of
poster
that.
doesn't mean they headline it. It just means that they had a face they wanted to market.
Yeah, but he was in the main event.
For Money in the Bank?
Yeah, he was in the main event match for Money in the Bank. Well, okay. It depends on why you define the Money in the Bank main event. Regardless, okay? I mean, just because he did that, no one really lost when it came to that. Anyway, Rob?
The WWE is trying to recover from the time that Punk missed when he was injured. You've got The Rock back. You've got Cena. You've got Ryback, who has been in a main event, and it seems like they're trying to push. You've got Mark Henry and Jericho coming back. All of this talent does seem to kind of hold Daniel Bryan back. Do I think he's good enough to main event? Yes. If Daniel Bryan worked for me and I ran a company, would he be a main eventer? Hell yes. But I don't think the WWE is going to push him anytime in the near future.
No, that's a fair point. Garv, what do you got?
Just want to clarify. Alberto Del Rio was on the poster for Money in the Bank because he is the money guy.
Money guy,
basically. But overall, he was in the second match of the night.
Yeah, losing to Sheamus.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It was the
all right,
World
Heavyweight
matches.
match.
It was the World Heavyweight Championship match, but it was the second match.
Okay, I
And
retract that.
he didn't even come in as champion.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Sheamus had the gold at the time. Okay. All right, I retract that then. Okay. All right. So, you guys last week, basically were discussing, whether or not you're okay with, Jericho coming back and getting some spotlight, but not The Rock. You also said, this is you guys that said all this, not me, because I was, in a patio drinking outside in Southwest Florida. It was awesome. They also said that, you guys were okay with Brock Lesnar. However, one name that you guys didn't bring up was a guy who could be tied into this conversation on YouTube. Barrett534 asked, what about Undertaker? Basically he doesn't help anyone but his streak regarding this. The question I have for you guys is, what about Undertaker? When you had that discussion last week, you really didn't talk about Undertaker coming back at all. So I'm going to kick it to Garvin first. What do you got?
Well, the thing to remember, our argument against The Rock and a majority of people's arguments with The Rock is that he's in your main event. He is in the WWE title match, which is the top title. That's a spotlight that he is taking. The other guys that were named, like Jericho, there's obvious examples where Jericho was putting people over. Brock Lesnar, sure, he put Cena over, but his other match was not. But at the same time, he's not taking that huge spotlight, for a long period of time, like The Rock is. The Rock is taking your Royal Rumble, your WrestleMania, 2 years in a row. Well, basically 3 years in a row if you consider he was like the MC of WrestleMania 2 years ago. The Undertaker, on the other hand, is not taking time away from anyone else. He's isolated. That's like an isolated match that we all come to expect anyways. He's not coming out of, nowhere, sort of, to take the WWE title match, to take that top spotlight. He is taking the spotlight that everyone considers him for anyways. So I think that's an isolated. Yeah, I think that's an isolated incident that's outside of the spotlight that other people are vying for.
Oh, absolutely. And I completely agree with you, Garvin. He's basically got a reserved parking spot when it comes to the WrestleMania. It's got his name on it. No one else can take it. It's his. And if he wants to take his name off of it, someone else slides into that spot, that's fine. But you're right. Him having a match doesn't mean that someone else loses. It just wasn't up for grabs from the beginning. That said, the picture circulated of a very, 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 very old looking Taker posing with a mascot and a couple of rather attractive young women on Twitter, and the rumors about it that he would show up on Raw. He did not, even though he technically was in Nashville. I think that's what the rumors were. But
here's the thing, Harrison.
Yeah.
you can talk. People can say, "Oh, Taker's taking a top spot too." The problem with Taker supposedly taking this top spot, yes, he's taking a WrestleMania match. Why? Because everybody wants to see Taker in the streak at WrestleMania. That being said, that doesn't have to be a main event match. It doesn't have to be for gold. It just has to be a match at WrestleMania.
All the matches at WrestleMania are main events.
Essentially now. The other thing is, they're like, oh, Taker looks so old and gray. He looks just about as old as he did before, and all he's got to do is slap a little,
eyeliner and
little dye in the hair, get that creepy baby and comb the color in your beard or whatever, and put on the eye makeup, and he's good to go.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people were saying too, is the fact that, we just looked, it's like when you see celebrities without their makeup on, and everyone like, oh, that's so ugly. No, they're just normal. And, yeah, he looked just the same as he did, and he put on one hell of a match last year. So maybe he's in condition to go this year. Who knows? Besides, who else? Maybe he's jet lagged. I know after I've flown cross country, I always look like hell. I always look like hell. All right, Garv, you got a final point, or are we going to move on? Okay. Oh, Rob, you got something?
Yeah. First of all, I mean, I'm a Taker fan. I have been for a while, but I've also been saying for a while that I think his career is winding down and definitely needs to end. He's had a couple matches outside of WrestleMania that have really shown how out of shape he is and where he's winding down. So I don't mind him having one match a year at WrestleMania because that's about what he can do at the moment. And like everybody said, he's not fighting for the World Heavyweight title. He's not fighting in a main event match. He's fighting in a match people expect him to fight in.
Okay. All right, that's a fair point. Speaking of WrestleMania, 3 names surrounding the main event for the WWE title. Well, I'm sorry, the main event, the WWE title main event, whatever you want to call it. 3 names surrounding it are Cena, Punk, and Rock. What's your favorite combo here? Do you think all 3 are going? Do you think it's gonna be Punk Rock? Do you think it's gonna be Cena Rock Part 2? Or do you see it being a 3-way match? Do you see Lesnar being involved at all? We got to talk about it. We're getting closer and closer to it. I can only hold back the slothering hordes for so long before we have to talk about this goddamn match. So let's just get it over with. Joe, what do you got?
All right, so if you're gonna believe what John Canton at the John Report says, you're looking at Cena versus Rock and CM Punk versus Taker. That would be cool. I would like to see the 3-way if Punk Taker ain't gonna happen, because one, you're not taking the twice in a lifetime, never again stance again. Mm-hmm. It's not just Cena Rock, because I was very disappointed in that match. I know we've talked about that ad nauseum. But I think the inclusion of a third guy could spice that up and give it a little more flash, a little more pizzazz, and be worthy of the amount of time it took.
Okay. Anybody have any agreements, disagreements, or can we move on?
Well, I just want to say that,
damn it.
I have a hard time, thinking that they would not put Punk in the main event at WrestleMania after everything we've been through over the last 2 years. After how that storyline and all of the points that he picked apart, it would be amazing that they would still keep him out of that main event match. So whether that's the WWE title or whether that's, Taker versus Punk, I think both of those could be good enough matches for what he's been doing. But outside of that, like, what other options do you have? Lesnar versus Punk? Do you go that route? Is there, there's that option. Other than that, like, what else would there be? You have to have Punk in either of those 2 matches, or his whole stick doesn't make sense.
I'm leaning towards the Lesnar versus Punk thing, only because the person that links the 2 of them is Paul Heyman, and he almost quit, but then he was brought back by CM Punk. It's just these 2 are too close. They're like magnets with opposite attraction, and the only thing holding them apart is like a very flimsy piece of like toothpick, and all you have to do is remove that. And so I really think the fact that these 2 unbelievably dynamic talents and very, very hot right now. The crowd is so totally involved with them. The only thing that's separating them right now is the fact that there's just Paul Heyman in the middle. And that link is just too close for me to think. That's just too easy to book a match. However, they're both heels. Granted, there's a little bit of time there. Punk could turn on Heyman, who knows? But for me, that's just for me. They're just too close with that link between them. Garth?
My only problem with that is if you take Punk out of the Taker talk, and Taker does fight this year, then what other match makes sense? You're not going to do Triple H again. That would be really dumb.
Jericho?
No, I think they've done Jericho at Mania.
They've done Taker. They did Taker Triple H a few times. I'm just trying to think.
And really, I mean, I'm thinking. Lesnar Taker could be interesting.
Look, let's be honest.
Lesnar Triple H is going to happen. Let's not pull any punches on that. They're going to find a way to do it because he broke Vince.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Double book The Rock. Make him earn his paycheck.
Yes! Rob, yes. I love it. Double book The Rock. He goes out all sweaty, all gassed, and he's going to go against the team. That'd be awesome. All right. The other thing is, I don't want to read this. God. Anyway, all right. So anyway, WrestlingNewsSource.com reports that there's a less than 50% chance that The Undertaker appears at WrestleMania. I think that's a misprint. I think what they meant is there's a less than 50% chance that Lee is going to appear on the show.
Yeah.
I wish I knew if he was up right now because I'd send him a pizza.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know where you pull that number out. But anyway, WrestlingNewsSource.com is usually pretty good. So maybe they're true on that. I don't know. But anyway, we'll continue our WrestleMania discussion next week as we lead further and further down the road to WrestleMania. But I do want to call attention to a new thing that we're starting to do, and that is we're starting to have a lot of contributors put stuff on our website, and we started a blog, and a lot of, I got to be honest, guys, awesome articles. There was one good one about CM Punk, or about basically when Jeff Hardy, or like late last week, was still in flux on whether or not he was going to, leave TNA and go to WWE. Awesome article regarding that. Then he really signed with TNA, but it's still a great read just for the what if factor.
Yeah,
really interesting viewpoint. Another one is, I'm sorry.
That was written by the Stiff Worker, Chris Wayne, and he also wrote the Undertaker one as well.
Yeah, I'm calling attention to that right now. He wrote this article on this called "All Dead Things Must Come to an End," and it's the only problem I have with that is it's very much into I language, not so much into general language. Like, it's very much about his personal feelings. But as far as a fan of wrestling, giving a very, very well thought out and well informed opinion on the Undertaker situation, you gotta read it. You can head to our website, FTWpodcast.com, to click on the blog article, and you'll see it down there. It's by Stiff Worker. Did a great job on this. Extensive thought went into this, and it's not like the classic. Basically, the thing I love about this so much is it's not the Bleacher Report where we have people posting the 5 top finishers in WWE, and then just to get clicks and links and shares on Facebook like we're cracked all of a sudden. Anyway, so definitely check out the article. It's really, really good. A lot of really good stuff on there. The other one I want to call attention to is Garvin's wife, Steph, posted an article called Wife Quotes about her thoughts and opinions on SmackDown. And I personally know Steph, and I really wish she would do this more, because you read this and you think she's putting on an act. She really isn't. This is how she is. It's fantastic. It's got insight that you would never expect from. It just got tremendous insight, and it's hilarious, to be honest.
I would actually love to see her and Carrie sit down and
talk this shit
and essentially live blog their thoughts throughout Raw. I'm going to talk to her about that tonight.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, Steph.
Just because, she just goes full disclosure. I was thinking about, knitting or whatever.
Yes, Steph is a very, very, very casual watcher. She will walk in the room, just look at the TV, and make a snarky comment that sometimes is spot on with the bullet points that the IWC repeats. It's really odd.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It is kind of weird. And seriously, she's watched maybe a total of 10 hours of wrestling programming in her life, and yet here we go. I mean, she's just got the same insight as everybody else, which I'm not a fan of, considering we kind of. Okay, so our Elimination Chamber preview. Join us this Saturday, February 16th at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at FTWLive.com for our Elimination Chamber preview conversation. We should have a full card by then to see how SmackDown shapes up and everything. But for right now, this is what we have. Officially, we have Caitlyn and Tamina for the Divas Championship. You'll be completely, forgiven if you had no idea that was happening. Shield versus Sheamus, Ryback, and Cena. Daniel Bryan versus Orton, Henry, Kane, Jericho, and Jack Swagger for the Elimination Chamber match. ADR versus Big Show for the World Title, and CM Punk versus The Rock for the WWE Title. Speculations are we got a number one contenders tag match, primetime player, Tensai and Clay, Usos, Epico Primo, Dolph. Once again, the rumors: is he going to cash in? Is he not? Couple of Miz matches. Could have Miz versus Cesaro for the U.S. Championship, which I'd probably imagine would be on there. Over maybe Miz versus Lesnar, because Lesnar's still out there. He might be in a match, given this is probably the biggest pay-per-view leading up to WrestleMania. Wade versus Bo Dallas for the IC Championship, possibly. So we'll have to see how this all shapes out, going into it. But definitely tune in. Garvin, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm just going back to what we watched on Raw. I think Miz versus Cesaro is probably going to be a sure bet. I think that's going to be on the card. Unless they injure Miz. If Miz is injured because of what happened, then maybe not. But I don't know what you do with Cesaro, so I think they'll continue with that match.
No, what happened to Miz is what you get when you concuss CM Punk.
Yes.
Dear God, there was that report over the weekend where there was a tag match between Miz and Ryback against Cesaro and Punk, and they both went for the vertical suplexes, right? And apparently Miz screwed it up and tried to turn it into some type of brain buster and landed Punk right on his freaking head, to the point where Punk was out of it for like 5 minutes, but still finished the match. Props to him. But damn,
he's a worker.
Yeah, that's what you get. I mean, that's what Bradshaw used to go in and do. Like him or Hardcore Holly, it was like, you fuck somebody up, Vince is like, get in there, fuck him up.
Teach him a lesson.
Yep.
Smack him around a little bit. Chet saying, and if Bo Dallas challenges for the IC title, that'll be a travesty. I'd rather see Barrett beat up Kofi again.
I don't have a problem with Bo Dallas challenging for the IC title. I have a problem with him winning it, though.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It's way too soon for that.
With Bo Dallas getting wins over
Barrett, people.
Yeah, I think that would be, when it really matters, Barrett will take the win.
Oh, yeah, hands down. And Barrett deserves the gold right now. He needs that heat, especially leading into WrestleMania, because I think he's going to have a hell of a 2013. Anyway, so, YouTube tag, or YouTube match, I'm thinking the tag contenders match, if that's happening. Otherwise, they might kick the Divas Championship to it. Who knows? Anyway, Garvin, last point before we move on to TNA.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent that's not being used. Sandow and Rhodes as well. What do you guys think are the chances that they might throw in a unscheduled Elimination Chamber match, like a second one, maybe to open up the show?
That would be awesome, but what are you going to do it for? The IC title? Or, not the IC title, but the US title?
Yeah, because you can either or. What would you do with it?
It could be for a title, sure. Or another thing is...
Or a contendership.
It can be a number one contendership, because the thing is, it's not going to be for the WWE, but remember that they did promote a Intercontinental Cup for the number one contendership, and they kind of scrapped it last minute, so, it's possible...
Kind of nothing, they flat out did.
Well, okay, sure, but... maybe that's another option. Have 6 of these guys like Cody Rhodes, Damian Sandow. I don't know who else you'd throw in, but guys like that to compete for the number one contendership of the IC Championship. It's just a thought.
If
Kingston.
Yeah, Kingston
Kofi.
possibly. Kofi. If you had to do that, I would rather it be for the number one contendership for whoever holds the belt coming out of WrestleMania. Just because it would just give it more gravitas. And the thing about Elimination Chamber, it really is it's the preseason to the to the regular season that is WrestleMania. So you got to make sure that everything you do at Elimination Chamber revolves around WrestleMania in some fashion. So I would say it'd be more likely that it would have something to do with something WrestleMania if they did another Elimination Chamber match. That's just where I'm standing on it. All right. That's all for WWE. Let's now roll into TNA town. Woo, woo. I'm never going to do that segue again. We're going to discuss some TNA. Rob, here we are. Big news coming out of TNA last week that I want to discuss with you guys, because we really haven't had a chance to, and that is TNA is taking the show on the road. How about that? Looks like some of the big rumors. I want to kick this one out to you so we can have something to talk about. And that is, once again, awesome contributor on our site said that one of the potential reasons why TNA would be taking the show on the road, list here, but the one I love the most, hitting Texas hard. How do you feel about that, Rob? That they would kind of make Texas their kind of hometown as far as TNA goes on the road?
I think that's a great idea. We were talking last week about the tour starting off in Chicago and how great a wrestling town Chicago is. Texas is really big as a state when it comes to wrestling. I mean, wrestling is huge down there. It's very popular. There's a great culture and tradition of wrestling in Texas. Not to mention you've got Dixie Carter, who's from Texas, and TNA has some talent from Texas that they can really use and showcase. I think it's great. It'll really help TNA in the long run. And I was saying this last week too, whether it's Texas, whether it's Chicago, wherever you go, this is going to help TNA because TNA needs to build a fan base. They need to build a fan base of people who are willing to actually pay to see their shows, not just people who are walking around a theme park and saying, hey, let's catch a wrestling show while we're here too.
Yeah, exactly.
But the one catch on TNA at the Impact Zone is that actually you don't have to be in the amusement park to go see it. If I remember correctly from watching Connor's trip down there.
No, you don't pay for parking.
They don't have to pay for parking. It's outside, so they didn't have to buy tickets to get in the park. They could get in another way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For the actual studio tapings.
So then TNA was actually making money off of that.
Oh yeah. No, not necessarily. I mean, they still let a lot of people in for free, but
yeah, that's the thing. See, that's the problem when we discuss the money situation, is because we don't know how many of those tickets are being given away for free. We don't know how many comped by Universal Studios, what are part of packages, blah blah blah. And let's face it, a roadshow is expensive. I don't want to talk about the money as far as TNA is going. I'm willing to bet they looked at how much it would cost, how much they bring in, and they know what they're doing when it comes to this. Otherwise, they wouldn't be around for 10 years. So I don't want to discuss the money at all when it comes to this. But the other thing, this article, the article I'm specifically referencing, it's on our site, TNAasylum.com, kind of did a guest spot for us and put it in there. Two things that I want to discuss on here, and especially Rob, I know you're going to want to discuss one, but I'm going to leave it for later. And that is TNA having an ace in the hole. Basically, he argues that TNA can have something, to kind of whip out and surprise everyone with when they go on the road. Other than the fact they're on the road, give them something to want to go see, like akin to when Hogan showed up, something like that, or maybe Bischoff makes an appearance, or maybe someone we haven't seen in a while. He name drops Batista, or I doubt this is never going to happen, but Shane McMahon would actually all of a sudden be touring with TNA and would make you want to go see TNA live when it's in your town.
I would laugh my ass off if
Shane
McMahon joined TNA just to give the big middle finger to his dad.
He wouldn't. It would never happen.
That would never happen.
No, it's never going to happen. But I would mark out and laugh my ass off if it did.
Well, it was awesome when it happened with WCW. But
how do you remake his music? Because his music's perfect. I mean, you get like,
show me the money. I don't know.
Here come the money. I mean, you get some guy to do it. Here come the money. Here come the money.
Get James Storm to do it.
No.
All right. Anyway.
To do it.
But yeah, you can get James Storm to do it probably.
Oh, James Storm! I thought you said Jigsaw. I'm like, this is turning into
no, no. You can get James Storm to do it. No. Okay. Batista though. I mean, the idea of Dave Batista making an appearance. He had his kind of interesting return to. Shut up, Joe. He had his interesting return to MMA, or at least his debut in MMA. Rob, what about that? Batista making an appearance in TNA.
Rob would love it. Rob
Fuck
Yeah,
loves
you would.
it.
Well, that's
way.
why I kicked to
We
him
could-
first.
No, just
For those of you guys new
I
to
would
the show,
boycott TNA for a month if Batista shows up.
1 month.
for those of you guys new to the show, for 1
1
month, just 1 month,
1 month, no watching TNA.
You know,
you'd
but
call Dixie Car, you'd send it on our Facebook page. Excuse me, I'm going to boycott for 1 month. And then I can just imagine you 1 month later. I'm resuming watching your programming now.
but just think of the dream match. The dream match of Batista versus Anderson. How awesome would that be?
Oh, yes.
No, I'm sorry.
It would make
So.
Botchamania's for the people at Botchamania. It would be heaven.
The only reason I would want to see that is if you and Garvin could be in the room to just hate on it. Just to hate on everything they did and just scream at the TV about how terrible this is. That's the only reason I would want to see that. Oh,
We'll
that'd
have
be
to-
awful.
You might as well get Sandman in on it too.
We have to find some way. We have to find some way to set that up. If Batista comes in, and if Batista and Anderson wrestle together in a match, we have to find a way to get all three of us into a room so that we can bitch at the match.
All right. Enough on hating Batista. The other name he threw out there, which is always interesting when someone throws about TNA, is the return of Goldberg. I don't think that's ever happening. He has no interest in joining wrestling ever again. I mean, his TV career, while not the best, it's at least, moving him forward, onward and upward. I don't see him coming back to TNA at all. Anybody disagree with that? Just real quick. I don't want to spend all day on this.
No, I don't see Goldberg coming back. He's done with wrestling. He's
Goldberg,
made that abundantly clear.
yeah, he's done with it until that one time where it's either that or working at Olive Garden, and he'll come back.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I love Joe to take the cynical route. Yeah, he's done with it until he has to.
Until he can't pay the bills anymore, in which case his ass is coming back. Hey, that's what happened to Ric Flair.
This
Yeah.
is true.
Could you see it? It's going to be, who's next? Pull around. You want to try us with that?
Have you been to an Olive Garden?
Okay, I switched restaurants.
What?
Fuck you.
There are no French fries to be found in any Olive Garden in the
Which is-
country.
yeah,
dude.
They're
Which
not
is
far
upsetting.
off from that. Trust
Joe,
me.
they're Italian fries. All right.
Palm frite.
Freedom. So the shirts aren't freedom fries. But that's what Jack Swagger would eat.
Oh man, that gimmick. All right. So anyway, so that's
I can't believe we even skipped over that.
I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about the renaissance, the redneck renaissance that's going
The
on. TV
renaissance
right
of
now.
80s wrestling. That's all that was.
Oh God, it's like it took me forever because I saw him and I'm like,
They
okay, I know
took
we're
our
segueing.
germs.
Yeah, I know, right? It took our germs. All right. Well, anyway, we're rolling over TNA real quick.
Yeah.
Anyway, the other thing is the changes between Impact before and after. We had another article that we have on there. What TNA wrestling looked like before the Impact Wrestling rebrand, before the loss of the six-sided ring. Basically, when you want to start, apparently once you reach 10, the fans can make the hipster argument that this was better when it was cool and it was small and underground. And now that Radiohead is headlining for them, they've totally sold out. Rob,
A long time ago.
well, I hate Radiohead. Rob, how do you feel? Thank you, Joe. How do you feel about that argument? I mean, do you think it's a fair one to make about TNA, or do you think that really this is a company in flux and it's growing and it's hard to really pin down and say that's TNA?
Well, having watched TNA way back when it was quote unquote underground and seeing it
You're
now,
a hipster. Just say it. Say I'm the OG TNA hipster of the show.
what Harrison said.
Thank you.
Having watched both of them and compared them, I think you can make. I think it's a company in flux. It's growing. It's changing. And personally, I think TNA really hit gold with the Impact Wrestling and Wrestling Matters. I think they really hit gold with attacking the pointless segments. I mean, how many episodes have we complained about the pointless segments that WWE runs just to kill time on Raw, that don't do anything, that are just garbage? TNA took a direct shot at that by saying, well, you know what, wrestling matters. I really like that. yeah, TNA has a lot of segments too, but the segments generally mean something, and they push a storyline forward, and they really complement the wrestling. All in all, I think TNA is probably better now. Especially like you said, it's a company in flux, it's growing, and it's moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the other reason I want us to do this, I want to segue into TNA Asylum, TN Asylum, TNA Asylum. That's an oversight. .com posted an article this week that said TNA basically did exactly what we're talking about here, compared to before and after the rebranding of Impact Wrestling. They basically, like Rob's mentioning, the changes on air and off air, but they basically brought up 3 key changes that I want to discuss with everyone here, and that is as TNA, before the Impact Wrestling thing, the knockouts were heavily featured, and they were given a lot of in-ring action with a deep and diverse roster. They even had the Knockouts Tag Championship that was defended often. The X Division was not about weight limits, but no limits. If you remember, that was the actual tagline. They had a concentration on, the Daredevil action with a really, really deep roster. Then there was also an extremely heavy focus on tag team action with numerous legitimate tag teams, Beer Money, Motor City Machine Guns, just to name a few. Under Impact Wrestling now, we see less of focus on the knockouts with even a smaller amount. The knockouts tag belts is essentially just like ornaments at this point. The X Division is a modern weight cruiserweight division with a very small roster and matches that are far and few between. And the tag division now basically emphasizes a makeshift tag team rather than long-term named and branded partnerships. Do you think that the good things TNA has been doing, which we all admit they are doing good things, can they succeed without improving on these 3 components that really defined who they were before they became Impact Wrestling?
They have to improve on knockouts. They have to improve on the X Division. I think you can kind of get by without the tag division, and the knockouts tag titles was a bad idea from the start. I really have no problem with TNA phasing that out. Mm-hmm. But they definitely have to improve on knockouts, and they definitely have to improve on the X Division. They have to get those divisions back to what they were.
Okay.
I'm not saying that TNA as it is right now is perfect. They have to do improvements in those 2 areas.
Can they succeed without making improvements to this? I'm going to say yes, they could. The thing is, though, is that they have to improve all the other aspects, too. They have to improve what they're doing with Aces and Eights. They're making this their biggest storyline, and it's awful. The whole Hulk Hogan focus that we've had for the last 12 months has been highly criticized. Okay, no, go on. I have one thing about it that I do like.
Okay. I'll let you continue, and then we can come back to it.
I appreciate that. So they've given all this time to Hulk Hogan, and it's been highly criticized. There are other, and also just look at the gut check. The gut check is a great idea, but they're not using it moving forward. It's like, here's some new talent that you'll only see maybe once in the next 6 months, and then that's it. That's not really a good move. So if they improve those 3 areas, I think we would see a lot better success. If they don't improve those 3 things, then yes, they need to give a better emphasis on what they did before. Great X Division matches, a very deep and diverse knockouts division, and some solid tag team. Otherwise, what do you have? They are stagnant right now. Honestly.
No, I completely agree with you guys on that. The only thing about the Hogan thing that I like is the fact that he does have name recognition, he does have face recognition. He is a known entity. I don't like how much they're using him. I think if he was more backstage every now and then, they'd bring him out, give him the cheap pop, let him come out there on occasion. I think he would have more power with that. The problem is, I really do. The more I think about it and the more exposure I have to the whole Hogan situation, I do really think he thinks he's doing the best thing for the company. I don't think it's an ego trip. I don't think he's thinking, I'm going to be on TV because I'm Hulk Hogan and I want to be on TV. He's thinking, I'm going to be on TV because I'm Hulk Hogan and people want to see me on TV, and this is the best thing for the company. I don't think it's. I think it's
and
misguided.
People like me.
I think it's misguided. I don't think it's egotistical. Is my only caveat there. And so for that reason, I can see him being on TV, just not nearly as much as now. The knockouts, dude, there's not a week that goes by that we don't complain about the lack of the knockout, depth in the knockouts as far as the division. And it feels like they bring some people back and they show promise and then we never see them again. I mean, like Gail Kim, we see very little love. Same thing with Mickey James. It seems like they bring this talent in. They have a roster of knockouts. They just don't want to use all of them at the same time for some reason. And it blows my mind. And weeks go by where we don't have a single knockout match. And when that was one of the things that really separated you from your main competition, it seems silly that you wouldn't go back to it. But that's the one thing. So the three components going forward, picking up, I like the ones that we're coming up with here. I think they're solid. Now, as far as Impact as it was last Thursday, Rob, the one thing I want to bring up is, besides Aces and Eights, is the Aries Roode defeating Chavo and Hernandez to, well, it finally happened, win the tag team championships. Now, they finally took them off Chavo and Hernandez, which we've all said which I think we've all been kind of gung-ho about. The only question is, are they trying to copy Team Hell No with Team Aries and Roode?
Why did you even lead the question like that?
What?
Why?
What?
Why go that route?
What? Hang on, Garvin. I asked Rob. Rob, go on.
I think Garvin brings up a good point. The answer to that is pretty obvious. Of course, they're trying to copy Team Hell No.
I think Garvin's about to explode. Go on, Rob.
I think he is.
Rob,
too.
I want you to take your time with this one. Savor that. Chew it slowly and let it marinate.
My question as I watch all of this is, okay, now Roode and Aries have the tag team titles. Now what? Now they're tied up in the tag team division while still trying to pursue singles titles. It's going to be a very hard line for TNA to walk, and I think they're totally trying to take Team Hell No and try to put their own spin on it. Well, and I will let Garvin's head explode and let him go on a rant now.
Rob, I don't think we had to. I think you did such an excellent observation on that. I think we can just roll right into Ask FTW and just skip this entirely and not let a dissenting opinion voice itself.
No. Garvin?
Pouting hardcore. Garv, you want to go or do you want to let Joe take it?
I'm just confused because here I thought that, since the 70s, there has been millions of tag teams that were paired together who were enemies at the time that they were a tag team, whatever. So I don't get this comparison. I understand, that we want to make comparisons, but this is dumb. This is dumb, and we know it's dumb. This is the same crap that we hate ourselves for bringing up, such as the 2.0 conversations. This is the opposite of that. There's so many differences between this group and that. And I'm sad that, you are trying to take the FTW podcast down into the realms of the general IWC, negativity. So,
Wow, Harrison. Not only is that a bad question, you're destroying the podcast.
Yeah. First off, it's not my question. It's an observation that came to us from the fans. It's not my opinion either.
Well, this is something that we've already talked about. We have already had this conversation that, just bringing out the differences between these two things. I don't want to have this comparison talk. Okay, let's just agree to disagree. Maybe would that be better for you?
Holy shit, Rob! Is that better for you? Would you agree to disagree?
Whatever, man.
All right, but no.
Damn, he's so worked up.
In general, this is a great move, and I hope that they stick with this for a while. Overall, Chavo had to drop the title. Chavo was the worst of the two, which is surprising because of how inconsistent Hernandez is. But overall, I think they need to split them up, let them do their own thing. Aries and Roode, although it's not a great tag team in the sense of what we want to see as legitimate tag teams, they are working well together. They are two of the top guys as far as heels go, so I think it works for now. So overall, I think this is a good move, regardless of what comparisons we want to make or don't want to make.
I'm going to say this right now. I think that Aries and Roode are going to herald back a tag team division, the likes of which we haven't seen since the 80s.
Oh,
wow.
God.
You're going to open up that trapdoor again?
By the way,
just barely crawled out.
Not my comparison. I'm just saying we got a lot of talk, we got a lot of chatter out there about the compare. And look, it's not. Garvin, you're right, and Rob, you're right. The problem is this happened on the heels of WWE doing something similar to it, on the heels of WWE doing a wedding story, a love triangle storyline, on the heels of TNA doing one. I mean, if we're talking about these two, it's almost like these two creative, like, groups of people that are writing everything are playing like a game of one-upsmanship with each other's storylines, and all they're doing in the process is just careening this to the bottom. I mean, they're just taking this bus and driving it off a cliff. But regardless, I think Aries and Roode is going to be entertaining to watch, and that's the only thing that really matters, right? All right, so let's move on to Lockdown. Lockdown, we got, I know this is a long way off, but stick with us. Thursday, March 7th, 2013 at 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's basically going to be right after Impact. We're doing one of those shows where we do the preview show right after Impact. Right off goes off the air for our Lockdown 2013 preview conversation. We should have a full card by now, but basically right now the only thing we know is that there's probably going to be Jeff Hardy wrestling something because we haven't seen him on TV. Probably won't. We're not going to see him for another 2 weeks. 3 weeks. They're still in England, right?
2 weeks, I think.
2 more weeks? Okay, so 3 weeks from now, we'll finally see Jeff Hardy in the ring. So probably going to see him leading up to a world title match. And Aces and Eights, we're going to see that coming back. As far as going into that, I'm not concerned with Jeff Hardy or anything. Do you see any shoe being dropped as far as Aces and Eights leading into this? Garv, what do you got?
Well, the only match that we are leaving out is the Lethal Lockdown match that will still probably take place. And I'm guessing that's going to be where Aces and Eights come in.
Probably, yeah. Aces and Eights versus Team TNA.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'd have another one of those team versus team matches, is what you guys are thinking in Lethal Lockdown? In the actual match. Well, the thing is, there would be only, because that's the one thing that we have on here, is TNAinsider.com posting a rumor that there might be a major change to Lockdown and that there's only going to be 2 matches actually inside the cage. And if that's one, the other would presume to be Jeff Hardy and someone for the world title, possibly Christopher Daniels.
And just to know, well, I'm not sure who, but just to clarify, this isn't necessarily a rumor. I mean, this is a statement that Christopher Daniels made on an interview that there's only going to be 2 matches on Lockdown. The Lethal Lockdown and the world title, but who knows?
Well, okay, then then hold on to that. We're going to jump right into Ask FTW, where you ask and we answer. Each one of us is going to have 30 seconds to sound off on a news topic. And you can send us topics to talk about via email at questions@ftwpodcast.com. You can shoot them to us on Twitter with the hashtag AskFTW. Post on our Facebook wall or in our Google Plus community. We'll grab them all in. We'll be great. You can even leave a comment on the site, and we'll make sure to use that. So really, you have no excuse. But the one thing I want to talk about is, so we have 2 matches for TNA Lethal Lockdown. Do you find that this is a mistake to move back to just 2 matches? Or do you think that the fact is this is one of the big 4? They're only doing 4 pay-per-views this year as far as like actual full-fledged, rock hard pay-per-views. Do you think that this is a mistake to only have on one of those pay-per-views, the namesake of the pay-per-view, only 2 matches? Rob, what do you think?
I think it's a mistake. Lockdown has been successful by putting a lot of people, a lot of matches in the cage. It's been successful by kind of driving that hardcore spirit. That's what's worked for them in the past. They need to stick to that.
All right. Garvin, what do you think?
I'm okay with this move. I think, moving away from gimmick pay-per-views is a good thing. Having one gimmick match, that's cool, because it basically drives the point that, those gimmick matches like the Lethal Lockdown, like a cage match, actually mean something other than, hey, let's all put this, make a whole pay-per-view out of it. I think it's better to actually make those types of matches mean something.
Okay, that's a fair point too. Joe, where do you stand on this? The idea that we have 4 pay-per-views now for TNA. One of those is called Lethal Lockdown. Only 2 of the matches on there are actually Lethal Lockdown matches. Do you think that's a mistake?
Not at all. I mean, if WWE can get away with only doing one Elimination Chamber match, one Elimination Chamber match on an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, TNA can go, well, we did this all the time, and now we're breaking it down to only 2 matches. I think that's fine.
For me, it's one of those things where then you got to hope to hell the card's pretty solid, because you're taking away the heart and soul of the pay-per-view. It's like Bound for Glory, and then whatever. Well, I guess it's gonna be different now because they're not gonna have the match pay-per-view before. But anyway, for me, it would have to be, if you're gonna have those 2 Lethal Lockdown matches, they gotta be solid, and they definitely have to be a decent card on the rest of it, because if not, it's just gonna be kind of a travesty as far as I'm concerned. All right. Chris Purrington emailed in saying, so with WWE teasing the breakup of Team Hell No, do you think that WrestleMania 29, which is coming up soon, they should have the Bryan versus Kane match, and the winner walks out with both belts to finally become the tag team champions? What do you think about that, Joseph?
I think it's pretty stupid. They've already dropped the tag team champions bit. And what are you going to do after that? Have primetime players just come in and decimate them right after?
Oh, that's a fair point. Okay, good point. Rob, what do you think?
I think that's about as stupid a gimmick as what Daniels and Kaz were doing, tag team champions of the world tag team champions of the world, or whatever bullshit. Because now you've got one guy with both tag team belts who has to find a partner. It just doesn't work. Okay.
Garv, where are you?
I'm going to say I'm completely against that idea, only because, no tag team championship match, like legitimate tag team championship match at the pay-per-view. But that doesn't really, I don't know. I don't, where do you go from there? So you're going to have one guy hold the tag team titles? That would basically do what we were criticizing this as possibly doing back when they first started, which is destroy the tag team division. That's all it would do.
For me, I mean, I'm kind of with you guys in that it would be stupid, but this whole gimmick has kind of been goofy and stupid and kind of just like, laugh a lot, chuckle along a little bit. So, I mean, if they had to do something like this, just for a couple months, just to have us just go, what the hell are you doing? And then just kind of share a laugh with us. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I don't think it would blow up the tag division. It would hurt it for a while, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. And I think it'd be kind of goofy, and it could be fun. I mean, let's be honest. I think Daniel Bryan and Kane, of all the people they could have to do this kind of ridiculous stunt, those 2 could pull it off, is where I stand with that. So for me, it's not the worst thing in the world. All right. Mike, from the live chat asked, what happens first? Aces and Eights wins a big match, or Dolph Ziggler cashes in Money in the Bank? Okay. Joe, where are you on that one?
That's tough. I think I'm gonna say Aces and Eights wins a big match. Because, really, Dolph's hanging on to that shit for a while, apparently. He's probably gonna wait for, like, the last 30 seconds before he's gotta turn it in and be like, fine, cash. That's where we're going, people. That's where we're going.
All right. Garth?
Overall, Aces and Eights, I am predicting will win at Lockdown. That'll be their big match that they'll finally win. But that's March. If Dolph cashes in Elimination Chamber, which is kind of likely, I don't know. I mean, this is a legitimate question, and I want to say Dolph just because Aces and Eights has blown.
You heard it here, folks. Rob, what do you got?
Well, technically, Aces and Eights has already won a big match, ergo, when they won the match to get unfettered access to the Impact Zone.
La 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 la.
So,
I
I'm going to say Aces and Eights wins a big match because Dolph Ziggler has shown that, like Joe said, he's going to hold on to that belt until like 5 seconds before he loses it. The Money in the Bank thing.
Well, like, maybe Aces and Eights winning at Lockdown. For me, though, I think the most ludicrous thing, if we're just going to keep riding this, is that Dolph Ziggler, like, he doesn't have to give up the belt. He wins another Money in the Bank match. So now he has 2 briefcases. And that's why he has a posse to carry around 2 briefcases. And then, you know what? Here we go. He gets the other one, cashes them both in one night, and unifies the belts. I brought it full circle. If you want to have crazy, there you go. All right. Chat's saying Aces and Eights will win at Lockdown, and then Dolph will cash in at WrestleMania. They're also saying Dolph is going to cash in first. I don't think Aces and Eights will win the big one until the leader is revealed. And when we say the big one, we mean the one that kind of, because right now they're still kind of not really dominant, so to speak. You know, they're kind of like on the back foot as far as what I can tell. They're not like they got that unfettered access win, but that really wasn't the big thing for them because they're still kind of seen as out. They're not taking control, is what I say. And go home, Harrison. I am home. What do you think I do? You think I leave to do this show? You think I have a studio that I rent in order to do this thing? You people aren't that important. All right. Will emailed me and said, is it just me, or are the heels in the eyes of Cole and Lawler the faces to a larger demographic? Basically he's arguing that they're bad people. They're barely bad people. They're actually victims. Aside from Swagger, who sadly is a face in his current incarnation, heels that share this attribute are, he lists them off here: Wade Barrett, Big Show, Dolph, Cody and Sandow, CM Punk and Heyman, Primetime Players, Epico and Primo, three-man band, Tamina. Basically, these are heels that Cole and Lawler are pushing as the bad guys, but really to a large portion of the wrestling population, they're kind of faces in that aspect. Do you think it's odd that that's the case, or do you think this is sort of like misjudging what you're looking at? Joe, where are you?
Well, I mean, you can look at Swagger and you could pick political parties and try and align him with one of them, which I would find to be incredibly stupid for any common sense human being to do, because really nothing's black and white. Sorry to get all political up there for a brief moment because I hate politics, but I don't know. I mean, I can totally see it. When you see when Kali was a heel and they'd go to India, they changed the audio on shows so that he would be the face. I don't know where I'm going with this.
I don't know where I'm going.
Well, you know what? You started strong and you finished all right. Garvin, what do you got?
Okay, well, just to clarify, this list was actually guys that I think did share that attribute. So yeah, it is weird that they are playing the victim. Especially look at Big Show and Dolph and Cody and Sandow and Punk. They are always getting screwed, and that's weird that for some reason the heels are being put in that position. Instead of the opposite. Usually it's the opposite. Usually it's the heels getting one over on the faces, and that's not happening anymore. But as far as the reaction they're getting from the crowds, that's been happening for a while. That's not anything new. And unfortunately, they're just not going to listen to the crowd. Joe went over, I can go over too.
You're going over by a lot more. Rob, go ahead, and apparently you can go over too.
Awesome.
Don't say that.
I think the problem here is that you've got a clash between what the crowd thinks and what the company wants you to think. This has happened before. Stone Cold Steve Austin was supposed to be a heel. The crowd got behind him and turned him into a face. The Rock, during portions of his career, was supposed to be a heel. The crowd got behind him and turned him into a face. Bret Hart has kind of been pushed as a heel. The crowd makes him a face, especially in Canada, where Earl Hebner still can't go without death threats. So I think this is just a case of a difference in opinion between what the company wants you to think and what the crowd actually thinks. And I'm all for it because I think it's long past time WWE fans stopped doing what stopped thinking what WWE tells them to think.
Damn, at this rate, I can go like 4 minutes over. All right, for me, it's something I've always said, in that the crowd's going to cheer whoever's the most entertaining. And the sad fact was, I mean, a lot of these guys on this list, they're just more entertaining than a lot of the people they were up against. I mean, Big Show was great, Dolph Ziggler especially. I mean, Punk, hands down. I mean, you can't look at these guys and think like, oh, well, they're heels, but you got to cheer them when they do something awesome. And if they're really, really, really good at being heels, they're gonna get cheers. And it was the same problem that Punk had. I was Wade Barrett to some extent now. I would say, yeah, maybe a little bit. But yeah, Dolph Ziggler especially. I mean, they're just really, really good at being bad guys, and you wanna love to hate them. You know, they're like they're just like the classic Dr. House character. You know, he's an asshole, but you gotta love him because he's really entertaining, and it's just that's what's gonna motivate. That's going, we're gonna cheer that. He's gonna sell tickets and T-shirts, and that's how it's gonna be. I think WWE understands this, and TNA to some extent does too. So I don't think it's a problem, so to speak. I think it's just Cole and Lawler need to sell something, and they need to build conflict in the matches or in the storylines anyway. And I think wrestling's in a bit of a flux, and I don't know how much of this is going to be the same in about 10, 15 years. All right, so now time to jump into the draft. I don't want to. I'm just tumbling further and further. I don't want to read this anymore. All right, so the leaderboard update. Oh, go ahead.
All right, so leaderboard, it's great. I slipped down to 5th, Lee's in 4th, Kyle's in 3rd, Garvin's in 2nd. So there you go. There's the FTW draft for you.
There you go. That's it. And everybody else doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Garvin, come on, man. One more point. One more goddamn point. We can just take him down a peg. At least
alphabetical order.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking, I'm just so happy that Lee's not up there, because there's nothing worse than when Lee is winning. There's just an arrogant Brit.
Is. Mike could be winning.
No. An arrogant Brit is the most annoying thing in the world.
So,
back me up on that.
I got to say, my
to
favorite...
our fans in England, that's Harrison at theftwpodcast.com.
Go on, Garf.
My favorite roster on this so far is Rob. Hey, how's TNA working out for you, Rob?
About the same as it did last season.
Okay. Oh, well.
Rob, I gave up a draft pick and went to supplemental, and I'm still beating you by a lot.
You are not beating me by a lot.
I'm beating you by a lot, buddy. 12 points is a lot in this.
Not necessarily.
That's only
it's
1 week.
enough.
Yeah, it's only 1 week. Okay.
It's enough. All right. It's now time for Win Fail.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here's your win
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
of the week.
No, there's not a week that goes by that I don't think this show could just be so much stronger if he would just fucking come back all the time.
Hey, maybe he's back for a while. He may be back again.
Yeah, I know. It's, because that time of year is winding down a bit, so it should be better for him. Hopefully, and it'll just be in time for me to leave for my paternity leave. So that'll be great. He'll come back and I'll be gone. It'll be awesome. Man, just my luck. All right, wins of the week. Okay. Rob, your win of the week. Go, Rob.
My win of the week is going to be what TNA has been doing with James Storm lately. The last couple of weeks, they've just had him almost playing the typical cowboy, just roaming around TNA, solving everybody's problems. If you're not going to have him in the world title picture, I think that's almost kind of like a good use for him. Just, going around picking fights with random bad guys and helping people out along the way.
I love the idea of him basically being a one-man Scooby-Doo gang. He's just going around TNA.
That's almost what they're using him as, man.
He's like the A-team. It's the James Storm team. Ba, 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 ba. He rolls up in a van and solves everyone's problems. Give me the linchpin. I love that, Rob. I love that idea so hard. You have no idea. All right, Joe, your win of the week. Go, Joe.
There's a lot of options, but I'm going with the return of Mark Henry. Beating Orton and then Khali. It's just looking at Mark Henry and watching him be the fucking powerhouse that he is. It's awesome.
All right, awesome. Why am I timing us? Garvin, sorry about that. Your win of the week. Go, Garvin.
My win of the week is Jack Swagger. I think how they're using him right now is pretty awesome. As far as just how dominant and destructive he's been in his matches since his return. And I'm actually a fan of the new twist of it with bringing Zeb Coulter in. I think that's a pretty good move, considering what wrestling has always been, and that is on the pulse of what's going on. They will always look at something that's a hot issue, and they will create a character or bring something into a storyline that's based on it just to get people talking and people upset, so that they're watching to see what they do. And I think this is a good move, and this is a legitimate issue that is happening. We not to get political about it, but it is happening.
No, and that's a fair point, Garvin. I want to ask you just a follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to have something? Do you think that they're basically going to dive more into that, like they would do with Sergeant Slaughter and Iron Sheik?
Yeah. I think this is going to continue.
That would be awesome.
I think where this is actually going to go is this is going to turn into a Jack Swagger versus Antonio Cesaro for the U.S. Championship. I think that's where this is going to go. That's the next step. Maybe that's the WrestleMania match. I think that would be a good move for both of those guys. So, but yeah, I think they will take it as far as they can before they start pissing off sponsors.
Let's say it's going to be anything
Before
but
they
subtle.
start pissing off sponsors.
My win of the week is first my win of the week is Pope Benedict retiring, and hopefully he'll get that Legends contract through WWE. But the other one is my other win is WWE Creative taking a chance and bringing Jericho back and having him win. It's an interesting idea. It may play. I don't know. Let's see what happens. The chat wins.
The wins of the week from the live chat, the unofficial name of Cena Sheamus Ryback being the glass ceiling. That was something talked about in the live chat earlier. A win is me for calling you guys out for stupid comparisons.
What?
Comparisons?
What? I didn't make the... Oh, whatever. I was just voicing an opinion we had. I don't have that opinion.
Bryan versus Jericho is another one. Rob putting a positive spin on Storm's lack of a push. The whole Punk and Heyman.
Hey, I gotta try, man.
And Rob Terry apparently aligning with Rockstar Spud. That was something we saw on this week's was it this week or last week's Impact? I can't recall.
This week.
This week's.
Yeah. So
Those
are your wins of the week from the live chat.
Julio. Fails of the week. Rob, your fail of the week.
Okay, well, since you brought it up, I figure it's fair game. My first fail of the week is going to go to Pope Benedict retiring. You become Pope, you stay Pope until you die. Deal with it.
No, that's not true, Rob.
No, it isn't, but it always struck me as weird.
No Pope has retired in 600 years.
But
Joe.
they have, Rob. That's like saying the Chicago Blackhawks are undefeated and they've had 2 overtime losses. Gah!
Really? Are we going to argue about this?
That just happened.
You know what, Rob? I'm sorry. Joe's got a point, and that's why I'm hoping the next Pope leads a crusade against the Moors in the Middle East. Because
you mean the Moops?
No, it's the Moors.
No, the Moops. Didn't you see that episode of Seinfeld? It's on the card.
I have.
The Moops.
Oh God.
But the point being, he should lead a crusade against the Moors because there's precedent for that too. Anyway, Joe, your fail of the week. Go, Joe.
My fail of the week is going to be Brodus Tensai.
Oops.
Because of moobs. No, I'm not exactly pleased with the turn that they're giving the Tensai character. I mean, he's becoming the hip-hop hippo again, I guess you can call him, because... Please tell me I'm not the only one who remembers that.
No, you're not the only one.
No.
Okay.
Someone wrote in, someone posted on our Facebook page. No, keep going. I gotta find it. It's the best good mark for him.
You know, I'm not a big fan of that, although another win of the week is Cameron Naomi.
We're on fails of the week, Joe.
I know, but I'm jumping back for that one. Because They're awesome. I love them. Hearts. But yeah, my fail of the week is Brodus and Tensai teaming only because of the Tensai gimmick. If they start changing his gimmick more without the, tire track on his face, the writing on his face, maybe it could work a little better. But get him a costume change. Make him look like Brodus.
Ah, found it. Robert, see on our Facebook page, Funky Teriyaki.
What the
Can I change my win? Funky Teriyaki. How badly would you not want to eat at that restaurant?
If they're going to do that, can they actually get a manager and have it be Ernest the Cat Miller? He'd get his music back.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you would. Yeah. All right. Anyway, where are we? Garv, did I call on you yet? No, I didn't. Garv, your fail of the week. Go, Garv.
My fail is going to be all of the 2-minute matches that were on Raw this week. The thing is like they really have not built up Elimination Chamber that well. And this was the best build-up that they've had, but it was mostly 2-minute matches outside of the Dolph Kane and Jericho Bryan match. Otherwise, everything was 2 to 3 minute matches, and then you had Rock finally come back for the overrun.
Yeah. My fail is in same vein as that, and really, I hate making this comment because everybody makes it, or all the IWC makes it to sound smart, but really, I just felt the booking on Raw was just kind of lackluster. It wasn't very daring. It didn't really take any chances. It also did not promote Elimination Chamber at all. I don't know. It just felt rote. Every hour they got to hit us with the team glass ceiling. Yeah. And then, like Rock comes in on the overrun. And even that, but I do want to give a special win shout out to Garvin, who, posted his screenshot of his Raw review, where basically he said, here's my Raw review. And he posted it like 3 hours early. And at the end of it, it was basically just a screenshot of bullet points of what he was going to do. And it was basically spot on. And it was like, what was it? You said you said the Shield would be awesome, Punk would be awesome, Heyman would be awesome, Rock will give the same promo he's been given for weeks. End of show, 6 out of 10. And then that was basically, you posted it like noon on Monday. That's basically exactly what happened. All right. So anyway,
I was wrong on one bit though. I said Brock Lesnar was also going to be awesome, but he didn't show up. So I was wrong. I was wrong there.
I'll give you that. Just the fact you were right on everything else. All right, so the live chat fails of the week. Go Garv, our live chat correspondent.
The Rock's crackhead story. He seems to have an issue with crackheads. Also, the lack of follow-up.
No point.
The lack of follow-up with Magnus. He was like completely over last week on Impact, and then this week, that wasn't even there. Fails. There's a fail for Harrison, just in general, and
of course,
Hogan on the TV. The continuing fall from grace of Cody, Sandow, Kofi, and Wade Barrett over the last couple weeks. And
Wade Barrett?
Yeah. Wade Barrett has lost quite a few matches. And then Caitlyn getting attacked backstage on the Raw Active side of Raw. See, they are building up Tamina versus Caitlyn. That's why this match has happened and no one knew what was going on. It's because it's only on Raw Active and they're not building it up anywhere else. So
yeah. Hey, those names that you mentioned as far as fails on the fall from grace, that's a pretty solid secondary elimination chamber match right there. You just need 2 more people.
Well, if you're not doing Barrett versus Bo Dallas, sure.
No one really wants that, so why not throw them in the elimination chamber instead?
I wouldn't say no one wants it. I'd be okay with it.
Really? You'd rather see Wade Barrett face Bo Dallas than be in an elimination chamber with Cody and everybody else?
Well, that's the only match that they've built up for him. That's the only one that makes sense.
That's not the question I asked you, though. Would you rather see?
I thought it was
Wade
exciting.
Barrett?
I thought what they did on Raw this week was exciting. That they had, Bo Dallas finally attack him, and that was pretty cool. I thought that was a good build. But just to clarify the statement that Wade Barrett has done pretty poorly. He's lost 6 matches since we started the draft, which was January. So he's 1-3, lost 6.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes is doing awful. He's lost 7 matches, 1-2. So yeah, Sandow 3-6. Yeah, all these guys are getting the shaft for whatever reason.
Well, it's that lead up to WrestleMania and the glass ceiling type of debate. All right, cool. All right, well, thank you, live chat. And that is the show. Why not check out FTWpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. Our new and improved site, you can see that we posted links to our iTunes page, so you can rate us higher than any other podcast. We got 5 stars. Let's make it 6, guys. We need your help. You can also, there are a bunch of other links and other ways for you to support us. We appreciate any help that we can get. Definitely check out the blog posts that we're putting up there. A lot of great contributors putting up some amazing stuff that's way better than really anything you're going to find on Bleacher Report. And what's the other one? SB Nation? Do they even have a wrestling section? Oh, who gives a shit? No one reads it. Or no one should read it, I should say. Again, you can get your I'm an FTW Podcast Guy shirt at ftwpodcast.com/shirts. There's also 4 others available, and I cannot believe Carver did this one, which is I'd buy candy from Cody's mustache. Imagine wearing that to the grocery store.
That actually was based on a quote that I came up with.
Yeah.
But still,
That's actually
there's
not
no
silly.
context.
I
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I can't believe how many of you people are buying this thing. But anyway, yeah, I'd buy candy from Cody's mustache. But the thing is, there's no context involved. It's just, it doesn't say Cody Rhodes. It just says Cody's mustache. Anyway, you definitely be able to make sure to check it out. Thank you, everyone, in the live chat. We record every FTW podcast episode on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern or -5 Greenwich Mean Time. Is that how you say that?
-5.
-5 GMT. We gotta find out what the universal time code is for our show. We should just do that one. Anyway, at
Add
FTWLive.com.
5. Is it that hard?
No. There's there's something. I forget what it is. Anyway, we'll see you again this Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we preview the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. See you guys next Tuesday. Later.